The neighborhood buzzed with the shouting of two heavily filled mothers that day. Two heavily pregnant women, two sharp mouths, one deadly quarrel, one reckless curse each. "I curse that child in your womb! You will give birth to a dwarf!" Honora shouted in blind rage. Kamsi, trembling with fury, pointed at her and shouted back, "And I curse you too! You will give birth to an imbecile!" That was it. That was all it took. Just like that. And when their babies finally arrived, the entire neighborhood realized words spoken in anger don't disappear. They land somewhere, and this time, they landed on innocent children. What happened afterwards? No one in that neighborhood ever forgot. Long before the curses, the shouting, and the chaos that scattered the whole neighborhood, Kamsi was known simply as the Quiet Fire. People respected her in a way that didn't come from fear, but from understanding. They knew that her silence wasn't weakness. It was strength. Strength wrapped inside gentleness, patience, and control. She lived in an old but decent compound, the kind with flower pots outside and children running around barefooted. Every morning, you would see her sweep the front of her house slowly, belly round and firm, her wrapper tied securely under it. "Good morning, Kamsi." Neighbors always greeted her warmly. "Good morning." She always answered with a smile, a little nod, and continued sweeping. Nothing about her look or screamed trouble. Her voice was soft. Her movements were calm. Her eyes were gentle, until anger touched them, until anyone looked for her trouble. Then a different person appeared. But Kamsi rarely allowed that part of her out. She was heavily pregnant now, carrying her second child, and her husband, Udi, always told people, "My wife is peaceful, oh. She doesn't talk too much. Better leave her in peace before you awaken what you cannot handle." That was the truth. Even her 5-year-old son, Chidera, who loved climbing her laps, knew the rule. "Mummy doesn't fight unless someone annoys her," he once told a neighbor innocently. Kamsi laughed when she heard that, rubbing his hair. "You talk too much, Chidera," she teased. But she knew he was right. She wasn't a troublemaker. She wasn't loud. She wasn't dramatic. She was just quiet. Until you pushed her. And then, only then, she reacted. One afternoon, Chidera sat beside her while she sorted beans in a tray. "Mummy," he whispered, "if someone looks for my trouble, should I beat them?" Kamsi dropped a stone she picked from the beans and looked at him calmly. "No," she said gently. "If anybody looks for your trouble, don't fight. Come and tell me. I will handle it myself. But, Mummy, leave them before anybody will say you fought their child first." She smiled softly and tapped his cheek. "I didn't say you should be weak. I'm only saying you should come home and tell me first, okay?" Chidera nodded slowly, as if trying to understand a great mystery. Kamsi wasn't unfair. She wasn't wicked. She only protected what was hers. If you insulted her, she ignored you. If you insulted her husband, she warned you. But if you insulted or beat her child, her silence disappeared like smoke. People in the compound whispered things like, "That woman is quiet, but she doesn't carry last. If you provoke her, she will reset your brain." But they said it with respect, not fear. Kamsi carried herself with dignity. She minded her business. She avoided unnecessary drama, and life would have stayed peaceful, if not for the presence of a woman named Honora, the sharp-mouthed queen of chaos. If Kamsi was quiet fire, Honora was a whole thunderstorm. The day she moved into the neighborhood, peace packed its bags and left. She talked loudly. She argued loudly. She insulted loudly. Even her laughter was loud enough to wake newborn babies. She was also pregnant. Her pregnancy was big, her stomach pushing out like it wanted to arrive before the baby. But did that stop her from shouting? Never. "Ifunanya!" She'll yell at a neighbor's child, "I've told you, stop putting the soap on the wrong side of the bathroom." Her voice echoed across the entire compound. If a neighbor mistakenly dropped water in front of her door, she'd come out screaming, "Who poured this rubbish here? Are you blind?" If someone corrected her child, she'd yell, "Touch my child again and I will break your head." Her two children, Osi, 7 years old, and Obina, 5 years old, were already infamous. They were tiny versions of their mother. They insulted adults. They fought other kids. They pushed smaller children down. They scattered toys. They slapped people for fun. And every time someone scolded them, Honora stormed out like a wounded bull. "Who shouted at my child? Come and tell me now. Let me see the person." She defended them to a fault, even when they were clearly wrong. "Children will be children," she shouted. "They're just playful. Leave them." But everyone else knew it wasn't play. It was bad home training. It was chaos. Mothers in the neighborhood warned their children, "If I see you near Honora's children, you will not like yourself." Yet despite all the warnings, kids are kids. They forget fights within minutes. They move on. They play again. And slowly, inevitably, Osi and Obina's trouble began finding its way toward Chidera, Kamsi's child. One warm evening, children gathered to play 10-10 in the compound. Chidera stood shyly at the edge of the group, smiling as the kids took turns jumping. But Osi saw him and smirked. "Move, Jor! You can't play here! Go and sit down!" he barked. Chidera stared at him quietly. "I want to play too," he muttered innocently. Osi pushed him hard. Chidera fell. The other children gasped. "Sorry, Chidera," one girl whispered, helping him up. Osi laughed. "Cry, baby, cry and go home." Chidera blinked rapidly, his eyes filled with tears. He didn't want to fight. He remembered his mother's words, so he picked up his slippers and walked home. "Mommy," he sobbed as he entered. "Osi pushed me." Kamsi froze mid-action. She turned slowly. "Again," she whispered. Chidera nodded, wiping his eyes. Kamsi inhaled deeply and stood. Her wrapper swished around her ankles as she walked out. The evening sun cast a glow on her face, calm but tense. She arrived in front of Honora's door and called out, "Honora!" Honora stepped out immediately, hands on her waist. "What is it again, Madam Kamsi?" Kamsi pointed at the children playing. "Talk to your son. He pushed my child to the ground." "So?" Honora folded her arms. "And what will you do?" "My son pushed him, yes. Let him push him again if he likes. Children fight. Is it your own that is special?" Kamsi's jaw tightened. "I'm warning you. Correct your child. This behavior is too much. Or else what?" Honora interrupted sharply. "You cannot do anything," she shouted, stepping closer. "Stop forming lioness. Everybody knows you cannot do anything." Kamsi stared at her for a long, cold moment. Then she said softly, too softly, "One day, you will not like what I'll do." And she walked away, holding Chidera's hand. But even as she left, something inside her chest burned. Even the neighbors watching whispered, "This thing won't end well." Because Honora's stormy nature had finally touched Kamsi's fire. And when fire meets storm, something dangerous always follows. For weeks, the neighborhood hoped that peace would stay between Kamsi and Honora. But peace is a fragile thing, especially when two troublesome destinies live in the same compound. Despite all the warnings, all the quarrels, all the threats, and all the tears, children still did what children naturally did. They forgot. They forgave. They played together again. Even on the days Kamsi held Chidera's chin and said, "Chi, don't go near them," he would nod like a responsible adult. And then 2 hours later he'd be chasing kites with Osi as if nothing ever happened. Kamsi tried. She truly tried. But motherhood teaches you early that you cannot be everywhere, and you cannot watch everything. And so, it happened again. That afternoon, the sun hung high, glowing hot like fresh charcoal on metal. Kamsi tied her wrapper tight above her stomach and stirred a pot of egusi soup. The aroma filled the house, thick and warm. She hummed softly to herself, wiping the sweat from her forehead. For a moment, everything was peaceful. Then, a scream tore through the air. A scream she recognized, a scream she feared, a scream that made her heart jump inside her chest. "Mummy!" It was her son, Chidera. Her cooking spoon dropped instantly. She ran out of the kitchen so fast that her slippers almost flew off her feet. Her pregnant belly bounced slightly as she rushed toward the open compound. And there he was, her son, her baby, her heart. Standing with tears streaming down his cheeks, clutching his arm, his face pushed into one painful frown. Right beside him stood Osi, Anora's eldest son, chest raised like a warrior, stick in hand, breathing heavily as if he had accomplished something great. "Osi beat me." "Again," Chidera sobbed, pointing at him. And in that instant, the calm woman the neighborhood respected so much, the quiet fire everyone admired, the mother who avoided trouble, disappeared. What replaced her was something else. A storm, a volcano, a lioness protecting her cub. Kamsi didn't shout, she didn't warn, she didn't threaten. She simply walked toward Osi with a coldness that made even the children step back. "Osi," she said quietly, "how many times have I spoken to your mother about this?" The boy swallowed hard, suddenly unsure of himself. "You beat my child? Again?" Kamsi whispered. He blinked. She didn't wait for his answer. Her eyes scanned the ground. She saw a cane, long, slim, the type used for disciplining stubborn goats in the village. She picked it, and before anyone could say a word, "Whip!" She lashed at him. Osi screamed, "Ah! Mummy, oh! Whip! You beat my son!" Kamsi snapped, "Whip! You think he is alone in this world?" Children scattered. Chidera watched with wide, shocked eyes. A neighbor whispered, "Jesus! Kamsi has entered the spirit." Osi ran, crying heavily, the cane chasing the back of his legs. By the fourth stroke, he sprinted home, screaming like someone being chased by forest spirits. Kamsi exhaled sharply, chest rising and falling with anger. She dropped the cane on the ground and bent to lift Chidera. "Chi, come let's go," she murmured, brushing his tears with her thumb. I told them to warn their child. Since they won't listen, I've done what they refused to do." She carried him inside, her face still burning with fury. 5 minutes passed, just 5 quiet minutes. Then, a thunderous voice shattered the whole compound. "Kamsi! Kamsi, come out! Hair!" The entire neighborhood froze. Everyone knew that voice. Everyone feared that voice. Anora had arrived. Kamsi placed Chidera gently on the sofa, inhaled deeply, and tied her wrapper tighter. She stepped out slowly, her face calm, her shoulders squared. The moment she appeared outside, Anora charged toward her like an angry bull. "You beat my son?" she screamed. Kamsi didn't blink. "I did." Neighbors began peeping from windows. Some stepped outside quietly, pretending to sweep. Nobody wanted to miss this showdown. "You are mad!" Anora hissed. "You dare touch my child? Me? Anora, are you okay at all?" Kamsi raised her chin. "Your son beat my child again. I have spoken to you politely before. You ignored me. So yes, I beat him. Next time I will beat you too." Gasps filled the air. One old woman started praying quietly. "Father Lord, this one passed my power." Anora stepped closer until both of their pregnant bellies were nearly touching. "Say it again," she growled. "Say it again that you will beat me." Kamsi didn't move. "I will beat you," she repeated slowly, "and I will beat your son again if he touches my child." That was the spark. Anora exploded like lightning striking dry wood. "You useless woman! You think because you're quiet, you are strong, you cannot do anything, do you hear me? Nothing! The insults poured like rain. You and your stubborn child, both of you are idiots. Your family is cursed. You think you are better than me? You are nothing. Kamsi inhaled sharply, her eyes turned dark. Control your mouth, Honora, she warned softly. Or what? Honora shouted, flinging her hands in the air. What will you do? Beat me? Kill me? You can't. People began edging backward. Pregnant fights were not something anyone wanted to stand near. And then, in her uncontrollable rage, in her blindness, in her arrogance that had always followed her, Honora shouted words that made the ground feel cold. I curse that child in your womb. You will give birth to a dwarf. Silence sliced through the air. Even the birds on the mango tree stopped singing. One woman gasped so loudly her wrapper nearly fell. Everyone stared at Kamsi. Her jaw trembled, her fingers curled, her lips pressed tight. Then she raised her hand, pointed directly at Honora, and shouted back with a trembling voice filled with fire, "And you will give birth to an imbecile!" Gasps filled the air, whispers exposed in the compound, hands on heads, mouths wide open. Two curses, two unborn children, two destinies sealed in one shouting match. And worst of all, both curses were spoken from the heart, the kind that lands, the kind that sticks, the kind that waits. Neighbors wanted to intervene, but these were two lions. Anyone stepping between them would be eaten raw, and so they watched, helplessly. Kamsi's breathing slowed. Her eyes softened suddenly, as if she realized what she had done. But the words were gone already, flying into the air, looking for where to land. Honora froze too, chest rising and falling. Her anger slowly turned into something else. Fear. Real fear. But pride covered it. She hissed loudly. Rubbish! Empty words! Kamsi turned and walked into her house, tears pushing behind her eyes. The neighbors stood in silence. Two pregnant women had thrown curses at each other, and nothing would ever be the same again. Because a shadow followed both women, a shadow named consequences. And even though their anger cooled, destiny never forgets what was spoken. The months rolled by quietly, but beneath that quietness lived anxiety so heavy it followed Kamsi like a shadow. Every kick in her womb reminded her of the words she had spoken. Every time she sat alone, the curse replayed in her mind like a wound that refused to close. Sometimes at night she would wake up sweating, gasping from bad dreams. Her husband, gentle man that he was, noticed the sudden heaviness in her eyes. Kamsi, he would say softly, rubbing her back, you will deliver safely, okay? Stop worrying. She always nodded, but deep inside, her spirit trembled. She did not tell him about the curse haunting her mind every night. She didn't want to sound foolish, but she knew what her ears heard. She knew what her own mouth had spoken back in that heated moment. Even the neighbors noticed how Kamsi suddenly became unusually quiet, quieter than she had ever been. She spoke softly, avoided arguments completely, and even tried helping older neighbors she had once ignored. But silently, everyone whispered, could it be fear? Could the curse be haunting her? Could something already be wrong with her pregnancy? They didn't say it to her face, but eyes speak louder than mouths, and she felt every stare. Sometimes she'd catch women whispering while pounding yam or sweeping their frontage. Then they'd go silent as soon as she approached. The silence hurt more than the whispers, because she could feel the weight of their judgments in their eyes. Kamsi held her stomach every day, rubbing it gently, murmuring prayers she never prayed before. Her son, Chitara, would sometimes pat her leg and say, "Mummy, don't cry. Baby will be fine." Those little words comforted her, but also pierced her deeper, until the night it began. One chilly evening, while she sat peeling yam for dinner, a sharp pain gripped her waist. She gasped. Another pain came, deeper, heavier, and longer. Her eyes widened. Labor had started. She called out weakly, "Udi, honey, please come." He rushed toward her, panic hitting him like cold water. "Kamsi, is it time?" She nodded, biting her lips as another contraction tore through her belly. Sweat formed on her forehead and her breathing became unsteady. "Let's go. Please. Hurry." He carried her to the car, sweating, heart pounding, fear swallowing him whole. Their son, Chidera, stood crying in the doorway as a neighbor carried him inside, the little boy stretching his hands toward his mother, sobbing as he saw his mother in that state. "It's okay. I'll be fine," Kamsi whispered through pain. They sped through the night, horn blaring, Kamsi groaning softly, gripping her husband's hand like a lifeline. "Please, drive faster," she whispered through clenched teeth. "I'm trying, my love. Just breathe. Breathe." The road seemed longer than usual, as if destiny wanted to stretch the moment. Streetlights passed slowly. Shadows of buildings blurred past the window. Every bump on the road sent another shock of pain through her. At last, they reached the hospital. Nurses rushed forward, wheeled her in, and guided her into the labor room. Before the door closed, her husband heard her cry, "God, please, let my child be fine." The door shut. Then silence. Udi remained outside pacing, praying under his breath, sweating into his shirt, jumping at every sound coming from the hallways. Hours passed. Kamsi screamed. She pushed. She cried. She prayed. She begged for strength. At some point, she felt her soul slipping as if her spirit hovered between life and exhaustion. Her sweat soaked the bed sheets. Her breathing became shallow. Her voice cracked. The nurses guided her gently. "Push, madam. One more push. You're almost there." Kamsi gathered every ounce of strength left in her broken spirit. She pushed with a cry that shook every corner of the room. A cry filled with fear, regret, hope, and desperation all at once. And then, a baby's cry filled the air. A strong cry, a loud cry, a cry that echoed into Kamsi's heart. Kamsi collapsed back onto the bed, panting heavily. Tears rolled down her cheeks. "Oh, baby. My baby is here," she murmured weakly. She stretched her hand, expecting to hold her child immediately, but no one handed her the baby. She blinked. "Doctor, why are you not giving me my baby?" The doctor's eyes shifted. Nurses exchanged glances. A cold heaviness settled in the room. Kamsi's chest tightened. "Doctor, what is it? Is my child okay?" The doctor swallowed and gently lifted the baby to her view. "Madam, your child is alive and healthy, but he is a dwarf." At that moment, time stopped. The walls blurred. Kamsi's breath hitched. She stared at the baby. Small limbs, beautiful face, tiny body, and her heart cracked wide open. Her mouth trembled, her eyes blurred with tears. Her fingers shook as she touched him. A painful whisper escaped her lips. Exactly what Honora said. Her tears flowed uncontrollably. She cried from joy because her child was alive. She cried from pain because her words had returned to her. Her voice broke as she sobbed. "What have I done? Why did I speak that day? Why did I let anger enter my mouth?" She kissed the child's forehead, her tears dropping onto his tiny cheeks. He blinked gently, unaware of the storm surrounding his birth. The doctor touched her shoulder gently. "Your child is special, Kamsi. He is healthy. He just came differently." But nothing soothed her heart. Nothing. She held the baby tightly to her chest, rocking him, whispering apologies the child could not yet understand. "I'm sorry. My baby. I'm so sorry." Nurses watched quietly, their hearts breaking for her. Some wiped their eyes discreetly. Her husband stood by her side, doing his best to smile, even though his heart was also shattering silently. He carried their newborn carefully, as though protecting him from the world. When they returned to the neighborhood, eyes followed them like shadows. Windows shifted, curtains moved, whispers crawled through the air. "Have you heard? Kamsi gave birth to a dwarf. It's the curse. That day she and Honora fought. Did we not hear it? Well, her mouth is sharp. She brought it on herself. Words are powerful, though. Some people pretended to smile when they saw her. Some hugged her with pity. Some women avoided her completely, as if misfortune were contagious. Every whisper pierced her heart. But she said nothing. She only held her baby closer, protecting him from the weight of the world. She kissed his head repeatedly, whispering, "No one will hurt you." Never. When the news reached Honora's house, she was frying plantain. She burst into loud laughter, the hot oil on the fire nearly spilled. "I said it," she shouted triumphantly. "I told her. I warned her. She thought she could curse me. She doesn't know me." Her children stared at her, confused at why their mother was so happy. Honora clapped her hands proudly. "She thought my words were empty. Now look, she gave birth to a dwarf. Next time she will respect me." She continued laughing, pacing around the kitchen as if she had won a trophy. For weeks, she mocked Kamsi without shame. Every time she saw neighbors gathered, she would intentionally raise her voice. If people know they cannot handle curses, they should keep their mouths shut. Sometimes she'd say, "Everyone should be careful who they challenge. Not everyone's mouth is ordinary." She never felt pity, not even a drop. She wore her arrogance like a crown, but destiny was not done. No, destiny was only gathering strength for its next blow. Because what Honora did not realize was, the mouth that curses another often creates the road it will walk tomorrow. And her own tomorrow was coming, quietly, slowly, and inevitably. 5 weeks passed like a storm waiting for the right moment to break open. Life continued in the neighborhood. Children played, women gossiped, men returned from work covered in dust and sweat. But whenever Honora passed by, still heavily pregnant, people looked at her differently. Some were cautious, some kept silent, some whispered to each other, "After what happened between her and Kamsi, anything can happen." Honora ignored them. She still carried herself with pride, chin raised, voice loud, mouth sharp. But deep inside her chest, her heart had begun to beat a little differently. Sometimes, late at night, when her husband and children were asleep, she would rub her belly and whisper, "Baby, you will be fine, right? Nothing will happen, right?" She brushed off the anxiety each time. But destiny does not forget. Destiny only waits. And it continued. Until the day it suddenly happened. Honora was washing clothes outside when she felt a sharp, stabbing pain in her stomach. She cried out and bent over, clutching her waist. Her first son ran indoors, screaming, "Daddy! Mummy is shouting! Come quick!" Her husband rushed out. Panic filled every corner of his face. "Honora, what is it?" "My body! My water! It's breaking! Call a cab! Call a cab!" Her water rushed out like a burst dam. She screamed so loudly the neighbors rushed out to see what was happening. Someone shouted, "She's in labor! Someone help!" Her husband carried her to the car. The children cried in confusion as the car sped down the dusty road. Inside the car, Honora groaned, tears streaming down her cheeks. "Oh God! Oh God, help me! Help me!" Her husband held her hand, trembling himself. "You will be fine. Please breathe. Please stay strong." The contractions came like rolling thunder. The pain felt like her bones were tearing apart. When they reached the hospital, nurses whisked her into the maternity ward. Her husband paced outside, wiping sweat from his forehead, whispering quick prayers. Inside the labor room, Honora screamed until her voice cracked. She begged for water. She begged for strength. She begged for the pain to stop. Nurses moved around like lightning, urging her to push. "Push, madam! One more! You can do it!" She pushed, and with one final shaking cry, the baby came out, and at that very moment, the room fell silent. Only the baby's soft, broken whimpering filled the air. Honora lay back, panting, chest rising and falling rapidly. She felt weak, drained, almost lifeless. Her vision blurred. The world felt far away. Minutes passed before she finally whispered, "My baby. Where is my baby?" The doctor hesitated. He wasn't smiling. Nobody congratulated her. Fear rushed into her lungs like smoke. "Doctor, what is wrong? Is my baby okay?" The doctor exchanged a silent look with the nurses. Then he approached her slowly and placed the child into her trembling arms. Honora looked at the baby, and instantly her mouth opened slightly. Her breath froze. "Oh God," she whispered. Her heart dropped, hard. The child was an imbecile, exactly what Campsie had cursed her with. At that moment, every ounce of pride she ever carried melted like wax under fire. Her sharp mouth went silent, her arrogance shattered, her strength dissolved. Her whole body trembled as tears filled her eyes. "No, no, 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 no. God, please, tell me this is not real." She touched the child's face gently, her fingers shaking. Her lips quivered, and then the memories came flooding back, one after another. The day she insulted Campsie. The way she cursed first, without thinking. The way she laughed loudly when Campsie gave birth. The proud way she mocked people. The harsh words she spoke. All the things she ever did and said sharpened themselves like knives and stabbed her from within. Her scream echoed through the hospital halls. "I didn't know. I didn't know. Why did I say those words? Why did I curse her? Why did I laugh at her pain?" Her husband tried to console her, but she pushed his hands away, crying bitterly, clutching the baby to her chest. It was not anger. It was regret. Deep, choking, poisonous regret. Regret that arrives late when the damage is already done. They were discharged later that evening. Honora walked slowly toward the car, shoulders slumped, her body looking smaller than ever. Neighbors peeked through their windows. Some murmured, some looked shocked, some whispered scripture. "Two women, two curses. This one is too deep-o." Honora didn't care what anyone thought. She didn't even lift her head. She simply walked inside the house, laid the baby on the bed, and sat beside him, silent. Her food remained untouched. Her husband begged her to eat. "I can't," she whispered. "I can't swallow anything." All night she stared at the ceiling, tears rolling silently. And somewhere across the neighborhood, Campsie heard the news. She sat down, slowly. Her breath left her chest gradually. She didn't smile. She didn't clap. She didn't whisper, "Serves her right." She only said in a soft, stunned tone, "This world is deep." Her heart shifted. Not in joy, but in understanding. Two mouths had spoken, two destinies had been affected, and the consequences had finally unfolded. Weeks passed. Both women remained indoors most days, caring for their children, battling their new reality and drowning in emotions. Then one afternoon, something unexpected happened. A soft knock landed on Campsie's door. "Campsie, it's me." The voice was shaky, broken, uncertain. Campsie opened the door slowly, and there stood Honora. Her eyes were swollen, her face was pale, her hands trembled, her baby was strapped to her back. "Campsie?" Her voice cracked. "Please, I came to beg you." Campsie was totally surprised to see her. She said nothing, just watched her. Honora wiped her tears and continued. "I didn't know words could become real. I didn't know I was cursing myself too." She fell to her knees. "I am sorry. Forgive me. Forgive my mouth. Forgive my anger. Forgive my ignorance." Kamsi's eyes softened. Two women, two curses, two innocent children whose destinies had been shaped by careless anger. And at that moment, Kamsi did the unexpected. She also bent down and touched Anora's shoulder. "I forgive you," she said quietly. "We both spoke. We both were angry. We both have learned." Anora cried harder, releasing every bit of pain she had kept inside. They hugged. Two broken mothers healed not by escape from consequences, but by the power of humility and forgiveness. And for the first time since their fight, peace returned to their hearts. Lesson from this story. Fam, let this story sink deep into our spirit. It should be a reminder that words don't disappear. They don't evaporate. They don't vanish. They land somewhere. Especially words spoken by mothers, pregnant women, caregivers, leaders, people in authority, and people in anger. Please, be careful, because a single careless sentence can shape a whole destiny. Curses spoken in anger can become seeds that grow years later. Control your tongue. Control your temper. Never curse a child, even in frustration. Never curse another mother. Never speak evil into the future of a soul you didn't create. You can destroy with your mouth what your hands may never be able to repair. Let this story remind you, if your mouth is not disciplined, your destiny and the destinies of those around you are not safe. Did this story touch your heart? Do you believe curses spoken in anger can come to pass? Have you ever witnessed a situation where words spoken long ago affected someone's future? If you were Kamsi or Anora, what would you have done differently? Share your thoughts, experiences, and lessons below. I'd love to hear from you. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to African Tales by Emma Day for more powerful, emotional, and deeply spiritual stories with real-life lessons. See you in the next one.